equity comes in. Let's look at this popular figure we have. We have these three men of different heights, and they are struggling against the barrier. It could be social barrier, it could be traditional barrier, it could be cultural barrier, it could be financial barrier. They are struggling against barrier to see the world. In this context, let's say to see the world of science. And somebody came, he looked at them, he said, these people need to stand on something. Let me give them a stand equally. When this happened, you see the first person, is he seeing the world clearly? The second person, what becomes of the third person? Despite equality has been saved. But when you come to equity, that means you are putting into consideration individual differences. The first man, as you might see, does not need any support to see across the boundary. So if you don't give him support, you have not done any harm. Is that okay? The second one just needs little help. Then he can fly. But the third one needs much help. At the time you consider individual need at different level, for them to see same thing equally, that is equity. And that is what we are here to discuss. Two genders were created, right? We have male, we have female. If you put us on the same pedestal to run, I can tell you for free, the male, they will outrun us. And you will say, after all, I gave them the same chance. You are not being just. You know our uniqueness. You know the barrier. You know what culture has done to us. You know the challenges that our being as a woman has done to us, and you want to give us the same ground to fly. You know we cannot meet up. This is where equity comes in. Fairness in your strategy. How do you set up strategies that are fair to the women? Both from the primary school level, through to secondary school, through to university, and even at the working class. We realize that a lot of girls are in secondary school, they enter into science classes, they will be happy. You know, those days they believe that, they were made to believe that it's the brilliant ones that go to sciences. So you have girls there. At the JSS and at the SS3 level, majority fail WAEC. Before you know it, you will see them in different, they are deluded. You know, some of our parents in those days believe that when you spend money to train women, you are wasting the money. They say it will end in a man's kitchen. So why should I? This is one of the depravity that we actually face. Now, the goal of GWB 2025 is to establish an active network of people, men and women, to overcome this barrier to gender equity in science. Let's take a look at these statistics. We need to go back a little bit into history so that we'll understand why there should be accelerating equity in science. The data A shows from 1950 to year 2000. In the overall, we have 28.8 to 73.2 ratio of male and female academic publications. If you look at it, 1950, we have 14% authors in the whole world academic publications in sciences. But we were not stagnant, not as good. We are not yet where we are going to. In year 2000, we have 35.4% of female authors in scientific journals. And if you look at the various fields in mathematics, we have 15.1%. In physics, 15.2%. In computer science, we have 16.1%. In engineering, 17.4%. That's against 82%. I believe everybody can see the screen. Oh, the bigger screen is not showing. You can please help us. We all need to be part of this. In chemistry, we have 23.2% against 76.8%. In health science, we have 30.4% against 69.6%, and so on like that. This data is taken from different countries. And when we look at this data from 1950 to year 2000, it obviously shows that women are not there yet. And how can we be there? Fairness to us. Equity to us. I'll show us something now. Look at these statistics. The women in STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics occupation. In biological sciences, we have 46%. In chemists and material sciences, we have 40%. Computer and mathematical occupations, we have 25.2%. In engineering and architect, we have 16.5%. Still clearly shows that we are not there yet. If you leave us and we don't talk about fairness and equity, this is where majority of us will populate. This is what culture has made us to believe about ourselves. This is where we have been limited to. Majority of our girls, they made them to believe that they are best as an entertainers. Have you seen them gathering boys to dance to welcome anybody before? Mommy. So, they always, when it comes to entertainment, they always think of us. Meanwhile, if they, in any chance, indulge us mentally, they will respect us because they know we are there. If you see any woman in science or in any career that is doing very well, give it to a resilient spirit. If a man can do one to get something, a woman will need to do like 4 or 6 to get that same thing. It is our makeup because we are multitask. In order for us not to be relegated to this, we need to act and accelerate equity. Are we all following? Let's look at this picture. The number 1 picture is tagged as the most intelligent picture in the world. Do you know why? In 5th Survey Conference on Quantum Mechanism in 1927, we have the gathering of these brains behind everything you are doing today. These are the men behind it. 1927. Out of almost 30 men here, how many women do you think is here? 1. Do you know her name? Marie Curie. Her name is what? This woman surpassed them all. She broke a record that no one has ever challenged to date. Do you know the timing between 1927 and date? She did not only become a Nobel laureate. She became the only human that got Nobel laureate in 2 different disciplines in sciences. Not only woman, now only human. Both man and woman. She got the first one, like the PRO said that time. She got the first one in physics, where she discovered radioactivity. And she got the second one in chemistry. I think she discovered 2 different elements. Her discovery in physics is what is being used as radiotherapy for cancer patients till today. Can you please clap for Marie Curie? One out of 30. But if she can do it, the upcoming scientists, you can also do it. Do you believe that? In 1927, there was no encouragement for women to do anything. But she did it. If you look at the second picture, we became there's a research for impact projects whereby scientists from 18 Nigerian universities were together and solve problems using local technology. Out of 18 scientists, only 2 women were there. The result of that project gave birth to a very huge grant of $250,000. I'm fortunate to be one of the group leaders and struggling among 4 hefty men. The report that we had in 2024, I'm giving us a background so that we know that we have reason to discuss this topic and to actually swing to action. In 2024, the result we had for the best scientists in Nigeria showed the top 8 Nigerian scientists. Only 1 woman is there. Are we sleeping or what? Are we lazy or what? We are not. We only need a push. We need a push. And that push must be constitutional. So that everybody will know that we need a push. Because we have what it takes to be there. There are challenges in achieving gender equality. Like I said, equality is small to what we wanted. What can bring equality is equity. If there's no equity, there will be no just equality. And one of the major challenges that we have is cultural and social norms. Our culture has made us to have some might against us, naturally. Sometimes I started my career as a secondary school teacher. And I was in a class and I told my students then to write essay about themselves. And a girl in my class wrote a whole page about herself. When I read it, I was shaking. If only you know how this girl ridiculed herself. She spoke so less of her, as if she's unfortunate to be a girl. And I sent for her. I said, sit down. What's the problem? She said the parents are yet to have children. Then I asked her why. She said there are 9 girls, and the father and mother are still looking for boy. So the parents made them to believe that until they have a boy, those 9 are nothing. And that's actually what she wrote about herself. That as she is, she may be brilliant, but she's not going to carry the father's name. As she is, she was just, this is what society has done to us. Culture. When you speak, they say, keep quiet. Who asked a woman to talk? Shashe Oloni. Are you with her? Are you following? Culture and social norms has relegated us to the back seat. And it is high time we realize that we are all human and we need to exercise our potentials. It is in doing that the world will even be a better place for the men to live. And then economic barrier. I've also experienced a family that has both male and female, and the father said, I can only train the boys. I cannot train the girls, because the girls will end up in the kitchen. My professors, Mrs. and Mas here, and doctors, did you end up in kitchen alone? Mommy, although when Prof was alive, he used to tell us that my cook is a professor. I know that very well. Yes, when Professor Duilemi was alive, he would say, my cook is a professor. Is that not something to be proud of? Who can pay a professor cook? That is Professor Duilemi for you. Anywhere he is, when he was alive, he's always speaking of mommy and shoulder high all the time. Mommy, God bless you for us. When you push us for yourself. Do you know what I'm saying, Daddy? You push her for yourself. You fight for equity for us, you fight for yourself and your children. Because when you are not there, we are the one there for them. So we are not saying anything strange, are we? Violence and discrimination, I've mentioned that. Lack of political representation, like Mommy said the other time. If you look at the political system in Ondo State, I wouldn't know how many women is in the policy-making stage. In Nigeria as a country. So when we are not there to speak, is it when they are still speaking of kidnapping, no food in Nigeria, that they will remember equity somewhere? It is when you are there that you speak for yourself. So we need representative to speak for us. Lack of access to education, we have mentioned that. In the passing, I've also said this, the importance of equity in STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. When you ensure fair access to opportunity for us, like I described in our first picture, fair access to opportunity, we are not talking of equity. We are not talking of equality. We are talking of equity. That is fairness to all, considering individuals' weaknesses. You cannot call a man that you know that is not having leg to come and run with someone that have leg, and you say, on your mark, set, go, and you look, you say, I'm equal. It's not possible. You know you are not fair. A woman sitting here listening to me now is thinking of this woman should finish talking on time. I have to do school run to pick my children. Am I lying? And I want to collect something from that woman in market. My mother-in-law will come visiting this weekend. What will she eat? And yet you are thinking of your research in the laboratory. And you are thinking of the lecture you ought to be teaching today, but you are here. You've postponed that one. I give kudos to all the women here. Please clap for yourself. Why it is important to accelerate gender equity in science? Let's quickly look at these facts. Most of the world's poor, over 1 billion people, are women and children. That's the statistics. Over 1 billion poor people in the world are women and children. That's why many of them resort to become entertainers. Man must survive. Nobody fight for us. And women make up a large portion of any nation's human resources. That's very true. Providing a rich potential supply of talented scientists and innovators. Out of all illiterate adults worldwide, 2/3 are women. Access to consistent long-term education, especially in science, remain elusive for many girls. Like Professor Duilemi said the other time, at the northern part of Nigeria, the scenario is very, very different. It's critical, more critical than what we have here. That's why when we are speaking globally. We are not speaking for ourselves alone. There's still so much to do. There's a lot of culture that believe in child marriage, but they don't believe in child education. We need to speak out. We need to accelerate equity. Encouraging women to take part in science will allow any country to maximize its valuable human assets. You can just imagine if Marie Curie does not have the chance. Generations that don't even know her, they are benefiting from her discovery. And I'm very sure some of the scientists we have here must have one way or the other won Marie Curie scholarship or fellowship before. That is what a woman can do if pushed, if given the chance. The UNESCO Institute for Statistics has estimated that of the world total science researcher, only 27% are women. Is that pass or fail? Children, if you score 27 over 100, will your teacher clap for you? Will your parents say you pass? What grade is that? That means there's much to do. There's one thing I call invisible web. Across the world, governments are becoming more aware of the need to support women throughout their science studies at the tertiary level, including vocational and technical training, undergraduate education, and graduate studies. Of recent, TED Fund has made it compulsory. If you are writing for NRF, if you are a team of 5, at least one must be a woman. If not, your grant will not be approved. That is equity. If you are writing and you are a team of 7 or 6, minimum 2 must be women. That is awareness. Government is because they are getting aware that there's need for equity. Why then are many women in the developing world still participating less in science? We need to identify the root cause of women poor participation in science, which is hardly straightforward. As with any complex issue, there is no clear Achilles heel, no single underlying reason that explained it. Rather, these barriers have been linked to an invisible web with intertwined strands. Because what faces us here is different from what they are facing in the north. So you cannot use, it's not an abstract. You cannot use one singular rule. It has to be peculiar. That's where the equity comes from. If you set a standard for us here, it may not work for them in the north. If you use the northern standard, it may not work for us here. I am very sure, and I know, that in this part of the world, in this part of the country, early marriage is not encouraged. In fact, it's a taboo. But in another part of the country, it is celebrated. But here, we have street hawkings. We have our girls on the street hawking different things, different, In the process, they get abused, they get pregnant, the vision died of going to school and, So, representing cultural, societal, personal, institutional, political, and economic obstacles. Yet, women underrepresentation in science can be strongly attributed to their weak participation in higher education, and specifically in the most advanced degree level. Like I've earlier mentioned, the barrier, the gender stereotype which limit girls' interest and confidence in pursuing STEM subjects from an early age. We have what is also called gender bias and discrimination, in academic and research environments, which our policymakers in this country, Nigeria, are beginning to look into. Lack of mentorship and female role model in sciences. This is very, very critical. I've experienced some things in my few years in academics that female PhD student does not like female professor. If you have experienced that before, I don't know if you can see. Mommy, am I making sense? Because they believe that she will be strict on them. She will be harsh on them. Meanwhile, she wants to push them. But they say, me fair yang. Right? But they want to go to Baba Yen, who will not mind. If you like, stay there the next 15 years. It's none of his business. Life continues. Some of them will still be concerned. Because if you come to any male professor and you say, good morning, sir. It's because I have menstrual pain. That's why I did not come for 1 week. The professor will say, oh, sorry about that. You go to him again next tomorrow, you say, it's because I'm winning my daughter. That's why I could not come for 2. You say, oh, sorry, how is the daughter now? Come to me, a woman who is also going through what you are going through, and tell me that, and let me see if I will accept it. Mommy, these are the reasons why they run away. Because they cannot hide. You have menstrual pain and so what? Is that the end of life? Have I not had it before? Go to lab and work. You are winning your child. Have I not won my own? Give the child to grandma and move to laboratory. Am I making sense? Do you understand? So many younger ones are difficult to mentor. Meanwhile, if you see those that release themselves for mentorship, oh my God, you will envy them. Because it will just be as if somebody has cleared the road for them. So they are just passing. They don't need to use their head again to clear the bush. Mentorship is very, very important, and it is one of the major ways we can actually get equity we are talking about. Give, children, are you listening to me? Give yourself for mentorship. And the scientists, open your arms to mentor. If you spend 30 years or 35 years in this career, and you cannot count 30 or 35 girls that you have mentored, you have not made it. Don't celebrate your retirement. Because it is not the money in bank, it is not your children you raise, but other scientists of yours like that you bring to the society. How can we accelerate equity in science? We have said this also. You identify stakeholders like the universities. We make policies that favor equity. Even in your employment policy, there's what is called diversity and inclusion. Make it a priority. Even if you cannot take 50-50, we are not fighting, we are not struggling. Do 40-60, you will be fine. And you'll be happy you do it. Because those 40, they will definitely surpass the 60. Before my father died, let me bring this personal. My father said how he had wished he gave birth to girls all through. He said it. He said he never knew it would be like this. If you are giving birth to girls, better be thanking your star. Better be thanking your star, because those are the ones that will take care of you when you are when she cannot again. My father confesses that how he wished we had all been girls. Do you know that it's not that those men are not good, but they have responsibilities now? And how your son takes care of you is strongly determined by the wife. We run the race now. We run it now. We did the background. So push us. Support us. Let there be fairness for you to actually enjoy this world as a scientist and in all ramifications. You build partnership. Building strong partnership between schools, universities, and local organizations is essential. Just like what Mrs. Fabusiwa Agbaje is doing here now. She's actually moving the women in chemistry, Ondo, with a force to build partnership with the secondary school. It is Operation Catch Them Young. Make them to have interest in science. Don't let them think, what is science? It's money, money, money. Because that is what this generation is all about now. And that is what is killing this generation. They put money first. They don't put, what can I offer first? And it's really killing. And that's why you see them joining different evil societies. You know, engaging themselves in different fraudster businesses, even rituals. It is not money first. Offer something, money will come. Marie money can never end. Are you listening to me? Marie money can never end. You know the meaning? Somebody that died in the 19th century, our foundation is still giving thousands and millions of scholarship to people till today. Is that the kind of money you do ritual to get? You don't do Yahoo Yahoo to get that kind of money. As a scientist, you make money that will never end. Because your target was to give to the society. And by the time the society starts giving back, it's oceans. Let me say this also. The project I'm actually currently working on was to solve the challenge in Gari processing industry. The idea was Gari is one of the staple food in Nigeria. Either you are rich or poor, that day you still eat Gari. But if you look at the method of production, it's very tedious. You cannot find educated people doing it. They've relegated it to poor people's world. Meanwhile, rich people consume it. And those that are making it, they can never be rich from it because of the method of production. So we went into it. We want to solve problem of Gari frying. Because we interviewed them all over Nigeria. And they made us to understand that where the major challenge is frying. They are exposed to heat, they are wrinkled, they have high problem. And we wrote a proposal. We want to solve problem in Gari frying industry in Nigeria. And we got $250,000. Can I ask a question? In this current Nigeria, can that kind of money finished? As in, what I'm trying to say is that by the time we get that technology out and we start giving it or selling it to the Gari producer, it will be sold for centuries. That is why I say it is not the 250,000 project, it is the aftermath effect. Are you getting it? So, as a scientist, if you are being pushed, if you are given a fair ground to operate, you move and you solve problem. And once your target is solving problem, money will come. It is not, your target should not be making money, because that's what your generation says now. I want to make money or I die or something like that. Praise God. Oh, sorry. Okay. So we move. We engage community leaders. Just like what we are doing now, there's also need to create awareness to the community there, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. Let them see that women are more than marriage. They are more than kitchen. They have brain. They can multitask. In fact, the way God wired us as a woman, we can do several things at a time. Meanwhile, our daddies, our men, they are one-way traffic. That's how God wired them. It is where they are going that they face. They will do it very well, but just don't add too much to them. That one that they face, they will do it very well. But once you start adding 2, 3, confusion will enter. But watch a woman in the house. She's backing a baby. She's cooking. She has a laptop trying to submit that manuscript. And the daughter is crying, "Mommy, my assignment." And she's still attending to it. And daddy is calling in the other room. She's still going. And she's doing them perfectly well. Clap for us. So you see that if there's equity, we will fly. Because we have all that it takes to move. But we have the society and the culture tying one of our leg to the ground. Let me move because I wouldn't know how many hours or okay, I've spent more than my time. So we should promote role models. Some of these, our secondary school girls today, may take a decision that will affect their life forever. Do you know why? By meeting one of us. I took decision to become a lecturer the day I attended an inaugural lecture in University of Ibadan, 1996. And a woman was presenting the inaugural lecture, and I said, "What? This is a woman. What does it take to present inaugural lecture? I want to do it." Are you getting it? I don't know the professor name again because that time I didn't even bet. That was actually my turning point to say whatever it would take to present inaugural lecture. If this is, which road? As a young girl that time, I said, they say she's a lecturer, she's a professor, and she's like this, so beautiful, and she's speaking English like this. I want to present inaugural lecture. A lot of these young ones today will take such decision. They want to be like this person. They want to be like this person. Make yourself a presentable person as a role model to the younger ones. And let us celebrate, like I'm celebrating Mommy Duilemi. She doesn't know me, but I've known her for a very long time. There's a woman, the first former Vice Chancellor of University of Benin, Professor Grace Alele Williams. She was the Margaret Thatcher of Benin that time. Read about her. She's a mathematician. And we have a professor in our state here at the Federal University, Professor of Biochemist, Professor Oladiji. She's also a Vice Chancellor of the university. When you see women like that at the peak of their career, you should know that they are resilient because the system does not give it straight to a woman. We have to fight for it. And we have some of these, our women, they appear in the dailies recently. Professor Olanike Adeyemo, she's a professor of veterinary public health and preventive medicine, Deputy Vice Chancellor in University of Ibadan. Francisca Okeke, also a professor of physics. And Deyinka Falusi, a professor of hematology. Olaitan Soyonwo, she's an anesthetic
secondary school students. I'm sure what you guys will do will be to just cram it. A movement from one level is beyond that. When I first stood before you today, you did not know what was inside my own container. You could only see the container. Until I started talking, and I started telling you one thing or the other. What I was doing, the moment I opened my mouth to talk, was to diffuse. Okay? What I know is concentrated here. It's not with you. And the moment I open my mouth to talk, I'm trying to diffuse it from this level where it is highly concentrated to you. And exactly what we just experienced. The challenge we have with sciences is lack of application. If they illustrate it in a way that we can connect, the truth of the matter is that 100 years to come, you will be able to use it well. I know you will just cram and they will mark. But for that woman, Mrs. Babatunde, after teaching us, she will link it and tell us how we can experience it every day. The same thing with biology. I wish they taught me physics that way. I will have stayed. When we were writing SSCE, under light, the one I know very well is rectangular block prism. We got to the exam hall, the thing triangular came out. The more I look at it, the thing will just go like this. I said, I was battling with it. Later I checked my time. I just told myself, oh boy, maybe this is not your calling. You might have been wasting your time. I just carried the script and I submitted. The principal said, what is going on? You did not write anything. So I don't know it. What kind of result are we going to get? You are one of our best students. I said, all of them writing. They are writing rubbish, I'm sure. That it's only one person that will pass physics in this class. The principal said it's not possible. It's only one person will pass. And it's because in their house, everybody in the house, they all studied physics. And it shows it's different. When the result came, it's only Shegun Salami that passed physics. Because I said, others, they are just wasting their time. Go and prepare for the next paper. But for people like you, I believe humanity is blessed to have you. The way you have done it exceptionally well. And I think you deserve another round of applause. In the space of 2 weeks now, I'm beginning to fall in love again with science. Last week, we had an inaugural lecture where somebody also deconstructed physics. And I said, God, if physics is this simple, what happened to me? Maybe today I will have been a medical doctor, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Okay, I guess God used that one to retrace my step so that I will go back to my natural habitat and then I can do it well. We thank you so much, Mark. God bless you. Prayer go. What we have now, I'm going to do some sort of climate setting, but before doing that, I want to recognize the representative of Chief Olautan Olamuyiwa in our midst. He's been around for quite a while. Mr. Akinwumiju Olajonpo. Please a round of applause for him. He's been here to represent him and he's been sitting quietly at the back. I'm not surprised that Chief Olautan sent a young person to represent him, okay? He's also a young man doing very well in his field. We are going to get to know him more along the line. Right now, what we'll be doing, and shortly after it, we want you to stretch your legs. You are going to have some sort of tea break now. Don't mind us that it's happening in the afternoon. Everything we do is unique. Everything we do here is unique. And because we are celebrating women in chemistry, okay? Women are just special. They are different species, not common Okay? And that's why it's happening in the afternoon. I don't know the name to call it, but we shall call it. Eh? If you say brunch, it's even more. We have left the period for brunch. Brunch should have come between 10 and possibly before 12. And now this is past 12. Right now, we want to cut our cake. After the cutting of the cake, that's when we go for tea break, and we also take group photograph. If you take the group photograph first, you are still looking fresh a bit, and then come for your tea. You sit down, you take your tea, and from then, after your tea, we continue. Right now, may I call on the people on the high table? They are the ones that will help us to cut the cake, and then we'll take the picture. We'll do that while we move to that side, because this place, and let the men on the high table also join them, and all of us will connect with them in the spirit as we watch them cut the cake. But we'll eat out of the cake. It doesn't matter who cuts it. All I'm interested in is to eat the cake. Photographer, Mr. Wealth, come and help us now. Please, can we quickly just take the group photograph outside, and then we come in for the tea break before we continue. Attention, please. Please, as soon as you take your tea break, you can go back to your seat with your tea. We want to maximize the time. As we are taking the tea break, we will continue with the panel session. We will do two things at a time. No one there. We encourage people on the high table to please go back to their seats. Why the people that will anchor the panel session should get ready for us. Please take your tea break back to your seat so that we can do the next item that we have now. then you can now the noise will not allow us to concentrate. Please, as soon as you take your tea, let's go back to our seat with it. And can we please have one house? Can we have one house, please? Can we maintain some level of silence in the hall? Thank you very much. We started well, and I believe we are going to end well. Please, let's maintain some level of silence so that we can do two things at a time. All right, thank you very much. While this is going on, and you take it to go back to your seat, I want to call on Dr. Janet Igbaro and Miss Excel. Dr. Janet Igbaro and Miss Excel Jeff Agbola to help us take this panel session. They will be raising some fundamental questions, and then our panelists will respond to some of the questions